Hi there! I've never stick welded before, but my friend here brought some sticks, so we're gonna try to do this and not burn ourselves too badly. Magic wand. And burn the garage down. No burn the garage down.
Furnace garages.
This workbench is definitely going to get a little more burned today. So, do you want to explain how the stick welders work?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, not being an expert, just having played around in the workshop with a few things. The short of it is the metal that's in here is covered with a flux, or I'm not sure exactly if that's what it's called, but I call it flux. And as the arc creates the plasma, it'll actually burn in, and it vaporizes this. And the reason you do that is it creates a cloud around the molten steel. That keeps all the garbage out of the steel, which would make it brittle and not work very well. There's quite a few different kinds of sticks. This particular one is a 6013. As I understand it, the 60 in the beginning means that it's a 60,000 pound or psi tensile strength, which doesn't mean it's 60,000 pound strength, but it's 60,000 tensile strength, so you can use that to calculate depending on shapes and things like that.
I did not know that.
If you want to, I'll plug Chucky 2009's channel. He does a lot of welding. He's a professional welder. He's very good at it. Essentially, all my knowledge came from him. So if I'm wrong on something, it's because I'm not a professional at this.
Blame Chucky.
Blame Chucky.
His fault.
The cool thing is, this is your stinger. Inside here, I'm not sure if this will come out on the video too well, but inside here there's multiple these pads that are in here. If you can see that, Paul.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what that lets you do is actually allows you to position the stick in just about any direction that you want. For instance, if you're doing overhead welding where it's something up here, you may want the stick to actually be like this, so that as you come up you can strike and then kind of weld in. We're not going to do anything that complex. We're not even going to do vertical. We're going to work like this. So essentially whatever's comfortable for us. There's a couple things I do which some guys don't do because they're much better at this. They know how to wrap the stick on the material better. But essentially as we're working through this, you'll get slag on the tip here. So the idea is you touch the metal and you pull it away, but you strike, so you actually kind of drag it kind of like this. And when you do that, it'll make contact, and if you notice in here, the metal's kind of sticking out. You'll actually do that, and when you pull it away, it'll create the plasma stream, and that's actually what melts the steel and starts burning all this up. So you'll see that as we hit this, you'll strike, and then you have to kind of feed in as you go, because the metal will actually, work its way out. So as we're finishing our weld, you don't use the entire stick. You just the method that I like is you flick. You just kind of flick it up off. It extinguishes your plasma. You'll leave a little bit of slag on here. Now, people who know what they're doing, they're very good at this. They just wrap it against the material. That comes off, and then you can strike another arc. When I do that, I end up sticking to the metal. Luckily, I actually have an AHP as well. This will have a circuit in it, so that when it actually sticks, it'll say, hey, that guy has no idea what he's doing, and it turns the power off, and essentially it just sticks. You can quite easily pull it off and try it again. So instead of trying to do that, I use a file, and I just kind of, and then just take the slag off, and then I can start over. So we're going to try that.
Cool. And we're going to have to put something on this bench because we can't weld wood. This is a plate, 1/4 inch thick plate. That should work.
Yep. So Paul, did you want me to just run the first and then kind of, we've got our chipping hammer. So I'm going to point out, personally, I don't use what I would consider stick welding gloves. I use TIG welding gloves. I usually don't run with such high heat, which the sticks can get to, but I like the dexterity. Personally, if I end up with a nub, this long, I usually stop running the stick anyway because it's just not useful to me to try and use the entire piece like that.
I did that yesterday with TIG welding. I had this much, and I'm like, I can just make that work. And I ended up burning the finger of my wife's new TIG welding gloves. She has never used them. Oops. I gotta turn the machine on.
Yeah. That might help. See, I told you, not professional. So we're gonna, masks on. We got our clamp on. Now I got the plasma going. You can see as I'm
Finger
Might
my
have something set wrong.
Notice how nicely the leather on the glove matches the splotchiness of this jacket that I found in the van. Found it in the back. 100% cotton. Okay, we're gonna try this stick thing again. Adjusted some settings.
So I got a new stick because I think something was going on with my mask. Luckily, I don't think it was darkening, but I put these on. These will block 100% UV, so I'm fairly confident that I won't be blind. But we'll see if by the end I'm not seeing anything. So we had those two attempts that didn't work so well. I think maybe the grounding wasn't actually working because I kept pulling in here and it would create an arc, but it wouldn't maintain it. It kept dropping out. So it's very possible there's something else going on. We clean this with Paul's awesome super duper ultra grinder machine. And now since we've got two sticks, you can see how it's got the slag on there. We'll just take our file and just, now you can see we've got nice clean metal on this side right there. So we should have no issue striking, assuming that I'm not the one causing the problem. And we've got a nice clean spot here. Alright, so everybody ready? Get your mask down. So now, I wanted to drag towards me, but because we got this here, I'm going to actually push away. It's a little harder, and you have to worry about actually pushing the material in here. So even if it's a good weld, it's going to have a lot of junk in it from the stick. So, and that's okay. For right now, we're just trying to see if it works. There it is. That's what I'm expecting. And you can see how I have to kind of feed in because the stick actually burns through as we're going. And you can see at the end I just gave it a flick. You can see it continued to kind of burn in there, but somebody who's got a lot more skill than me should be able to just peck that, and a lot of this flux on the outside would break off, and it would typically take that slag with it. But myself, to just go ahead and do the same thing as before, and just take that right off, and you can see we're back to bare metal, easy peasy.
Cool.
So at this point, unlike other weld processes, you can see that we have this hard kind of junk on there. That's the slag, and that's what protects the steel when it's liquid from getting oxygen or anything into it, which would make it weak and brittle and all that good happy stuff. So at this point, we just take our chipping hammer and we can just kind of whack it. Our brush and brush it. That's not a bad weld. I think we got. We bumped up to 126 amps, so it's possible we didn't have enough current because this plate's kind of thick. I personally don't think so. I've welded stuff about this thick with much less on mine, and it's the same brand. I really think it was the grounding clamp that we cleaned up and made a good solid contact, because typically these kinds of stick welding, it can burn through just about anything once the arc is struck. So from my perspective, I didn't really see much because I was pushing, but if I was pulling, I would have seen that pool. And I would have tried to just stay ahead of it. So if this is the pool, if you imagine this circle just kind of flowing, I would have just stayed here and I was doing this with it. Just a little. It may not have even shown up. And what that swirling does, is if you have two pieces of metal, you're kind of pulling some from this guy, some from this guy, and you're kind of mixing them. I'm exaggerating here for effect, but essentially you're pulling the metal from two different pieces.
Good job. End of video. No, just kidding.
Again, we're gonna basically, you want to touch and pull up. So the easiest way is you strike like a match. So you just kind of touch, and as you drag, just kind of pull up, and then just kind of drag it, just like you're dragging something behind you, like a bag or something. You're pulling it real hard. Just pull, and you'll see the metal just eat as you're going, and just stay with that.
All right, cool. Chirpy's looking away, so he's not going to get flashed. All right, here we go. First time stick welding. We're going to give it a shot. No promises. Get your hopes down. Alright, there we go. I'm going to start it here to the left of this one.
Yep. That's okay. There's the arc. You just move with it nice and slow. You'll see the pool. And stay with that pool. You keep pushing in as you get it. Yep. The height of the stick, so now you can move this hand out of the way. You're getting close. And then flip.
Ah, cool.
Pretty good. Pretty good. So we'll let that cool a second. My recommendation, let it cool a lot. I was chipping once and had slag hit my eye, even though I wear not only safety glasses, but my helmet. So I let it cool a little first. Lesson learned. Yeah, that looks pretty good from what I can see, especially for first time.
A couple of times I got a little bit roasty through the back of the hand.
Yep.
Grab the thicker ones. No, these are mine.
Oh, those are yours, okay.
My wife's MIG gloves are over there. She doesn't like them.
Give it a, there you go. Manly. There you go. A little bit, get that hard stuff. Alright.
Doesn't look any worse than my MIG welds over here.
No, it looks really good, Paul. It really does.
Boom. Instructor approval. Cool. I'll try another one, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Numero dos.
And remember, keep the height of the stick to the steel consistent. Alright, good flick at the end. Yeah, that's pretty good too. But you can see how the puddle, how it was like.
Yeah.
So you change speed, and that's why that changed from that to like here, where essentially I'm talking about like the thickness from here to here.
Yeah.
So that was Paul shifting speed, and I don't know. I'm not that much of an expert. Did he go faster, slower? I'm not sure, but it got thinner. I'm assuming faster. But then he's kind of, you can just see where he like changed speed a little bit here and there. But overall, I think that's pretty good too.
Cool.
Like the best way to tell is we would have to cut this like this and actually see the fusion, but overall it really does look like you had a pretty good pool going, and this is fairly thick material.
It has a 1/4 inch. Cool. Well, there's stick welding. Never done it before. We'll have to try to find some more uses for it around here. Probably not with the wife though. She doesn't like sparks.